What's going on, family? This is Marks from Marks. Hopefully that you're having a happy Saturday here. Just want to check in with you. Currently, right now, I been working all day on this dissertation. If you saw my video yesterday, we did a dissertation meeting. In that video, I talked about a little bit of my struggles of you know being a father while still trying to get this dissertation done, and kind of like the struggles that I'm dealing with that. So yesterday I had my committee meeting. So essentially what happens is, when you're writing your dissertation in my program, they give you a committee, and in that committee you you talk about your writing and your research and your literature at this time. So yesterday meeting was pretty well. It was, it wasn't that devastating. And the good thing about my dissertation committee, they're very sometimes when you have people reading your work, sometimes it makes you a little trepidatious, or a little nervous, because you have people looking at your work and critiquing and criticizing. But for them, they did a really good job with really ensuring that you know now what my dissertation chair, she doesn't take any, she doesn't hold any punches. I mean, if you're not producing enough, she would definitely let you know. But they do a really good job of being encouraging and motivating, and helping you get through this process. So it's currently about 9:30 or so right now. Let me see. I don't think that clock works. I mean, I think that's just for show. So if you looked at that and be like, man, that time say something way different than what he just said it was, I apologize. That clock don't work. I think that's just there for show in my office. I just got it there. But it's currently 9:30. Just took a quick break, revising my chapter one, in this dissertation. So, for you who don't know, a dissertation is essentially five chapters. It's basically a five-chapter book, where in the first chapter you're introducing the readers what your dissertation is simply essentially about. So, in your first chapter, you're gonna have an introduction. You're gonna have a problem statement. Um, I'm saying, you don't know. I'm just making sure I get all the points. Now, I don't want to, lead you wrong. So, I don't want to miss something. You'd be like, is he even working on his degree? So first, you're gonna have your problem statement, your theoretical rationale. I know we talked about that last time. Hey, Paul, what's going on? How you feeling, brother? I know we talked about that last time. So you got your problem statement, your theoretical rationale, your statement of purpose, your research question, potential significance of the study, definition of the terms, and the chapter summary. So in this first paragraph, is broken down into parts like that. In your introduction, you're simply just telling people what your research is about. In your theoretical rationale, I had a video, you might want to check YouTube, that talks about that. We talk about your theoretical rationale. That's basically in your research, that's basically talking about everything your research does will fall under that scope. So my theoretical rationale is cultural proficiency. Simply what that means is that when you're looking at a group of individuals, you have to take in account the culture that they come from. So for me, as a leader, when I'm looking at all of the student bodies, teachers, everybody, and you're looking at the different cultural perspectives in that group, the dominant culture in America is white male. So everything outside of the white male is essentially would be the minority. And with that being said, when you are viewing a population, the lens or the scope you're looking for has to take into account their culture, has to take into account who they are as a people. Um, And when we look at culture, we can't make assumptions on culture. Like when you look at me, you might just automatically assume and say, okay, he's black, he's African American. The reality is, although I resonate with the African American community, I'm Haitian American. So, my culture, although I'm part of the African American group, a big part of who I am resonates with the Haitian culture, with the food. And shout out to my Haitians. Although I'm up here, I haven't had no griot and no sauce pois or no duricolet, any of that stuff. That's for the Haitian people, real quick. But a lot of me resonates with the Haitian culture also. So when you look at somebody, you just can't make assumptions that you know what their culture or their cultural perspectives are. So as a leader, it's always imperative that we take the time and converse with individuals. So why is culture important, right? If I took a picture and all of us were standing in a picture, um, after you took that picture, the first person you'll look for in that picture will be yourself. So if 15 people are in a group and we all took a picture real quick and you took that picture and you seen all of us there, when you go look at that picture, you might say everybody's nice, but majority of the times you're going to look to see, all right, how was I looking? How was I feeling? So why is culture important? Because oftentimes what we see in the literature or in schools or in history, you don't get to see the people that are. So if I'm black, it's important that I see myself in the history books that I'm reading. Because if I don't see myself, just like I'm looking for myself in that picture, if I don't see myself in the book as if I didn't exist, that tells me I'm not important. When I'm walking around in the hallways and I don't see any pictures that look like me, any art that resonates with me as a person, then that tells me subconsciously that or consciously that in this school I'm not important. I don't matter. Or if we're reading books and all of the books, none of the characters look like me. And if they do look like me, they're all in a negative light, then that's the position that I'm coming from. So when you talk about being culturally proficient as a leader, it's saying, let me find out what resonates with the people that are following me. So as I do my research, everything I do will be filtered out of that lens, essentially saying, when I talk to principals, because ultimately that's what I want to do, is to talk to principals that are having a high achievement rate for black boys and see if what they're doing, are they cognizant of what they're doing to actually increase that student achievement rate for black boys? Are they doing anything particular to actually target that group? I don't know. Um, I do know that there's a lot of black boys graduating from high school. The research will tell us that there's about 1 million black young men right now in college. There are over 2 million black men with college degrees. So black young men are graduating from high school. And I'm getting a lot of pushback on that word boys. I like to say black boys. My professors disagree with that position of boys, and I hear them in the reason why I use the term black boys is because I want us as educators and people who dealing with children to see that even though this young person might be 16, 15, 14, that is somebody's child and that's still a boy, and we ought not to treat them roughly or treat them as men. But in the same breath, I do know the word boy does have a negative connotation to it. And this is what I talked about in my dissertation committee yesterday, that when you say, if you're walking around, I call my young men, hey boy, get over here, but I'm saying it from a place of endearment and a place of love. But one of my concerns would be that if somebody looked at my research, viewed my research, used my research, and then used it in a negative connotation, and so that's the concern. So I may be getting away from the term black boys. I might go to a term black adolescent or black males, just for the sake of protecting um, the culture and protecting these young men in a sense where we're not treating them roughly. Um, and then after theoretical rationale, you're talking about your statement of purpose. Uh, why are you doing this research? Why does this research um, even matter? Why does this research need to be done? For me, what the literature tells us is that there's a lot of research on principles, the effect of principles, how they play a role, what are they doing to increase student achievement. A lot of the research, though, talks from, Chicago, Maryland, Texas, some research out of New York. But majority of the research is done at the elementary level. Majority of the research is done at a quantitative state. We talked about this, so if you follow any of my videos, you should know what quantitative studies are right now. If you don't, simply the study of numbers, where you're just having people take surveys and you're just evaluating the surveys. So, and then a lot of the research comes from a teacher's perspective. How are the teachers viewing this principle? Unfortunately, though, for me to understand what a leader's thinking, I need to talk to the leader. If I really want to know what's going on in the psyche of that individual, then I need to be speaking to that principal and seeing what he or she has to say, and see what style of leadership that they're actually employing to increase that student achievement rate. If I'm not talking to them, then I'm really not going to get the full scope and the totality of what's happening in that building and how they're viewing it. So, um, that's where I'm at right now. Um, I'm probably, I hate to say I'm taking a coffee run. I've been drinking water. Sorry about that. Been drinking water. To try to keep myself energized, but I've been working on this all day. Again, the reason why I do this is because when you see people who have their doctorate degree or their master's degree or their bachelor's degree or their associate's degree, sometimes the outside looking in, we don't really value the amount of work they put in. And we say haphazardly, like, oh man, you got a PhD, a play hating degree. Ooh, people who have degrees, it took a lot of work. Again, I'm not a fan to think that I'm smarter than anybody, but I am willing to put the work in, though. And what I want people to know, young people, people who might be afraid of, man, can I get this degree? Now, it is Saturday night while everybody's, watching the NCAA Final Four, or getting ready to go to the club or getting ready to party. I am in my office surrounded by papers and research articles, and my office looks a mess. But that's what I'm doing right now. So I think anybody can do this work. But again, it's work. I mean, it's a job. And if you want it, then you're gonna have to really put the work in to go get it. So with that being said, I don't want to bore anybody too much longer. Love you. Thank you for tuning in. This will go on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll get it up. Until next time, this is Marks for Marks for Marks. We can go over the research questions and the significance of the study, and all of that later. But until next time, peace.